So will Elon Musk and Tesla go bankrupt in 2025? That's the subject of today's video. And in fact, bankruptcy may be a lot closer than you realize, as Musk and Tesla are under a lot of pressure and things look bad for them. And so essentially he's finding and trying to do anything and any means necessary to stay afloat, even snuggling up to Donald Trump, who's known to backstab whoever he partners with. So I want to go you guys through some of the headlines today. And this is a really important to understand the markets, economy, and everything going on right now. First headline, Musk vaulted to the top of a popular video game. Everyone's asking where he found the time. And for real, he's like tweets out playing video games. He'll even stream video games. And when he's playing, and company employees will actually call him, and he'll even show that on stream. Basically, that's what CEOs do. While you're out in the field doing the real work, they're playing video games. So there's that. And it's funny because Musk is actually appealing today. This is January 8th. There's essentially, he has a pay package. It's all about pumping up the stock. And the judge basically ruled that, hey, you and the board were too close. You had the board in your pocket. They didn't carry out their fiduciary duty, and you cheated shareholders. Musk is appealing that. We'll see what happens. And who knows if this goes up going to the Supreme Court. That'll be a Trump court. And so that'll be one of the reasons why Musk may be snuggling up to Donald Trump. If you don't know, Musk doesn't take a salary from Tesla. His net worth is based on the price of the stock, and he borrows against that. And so he doesn't have to pay taxes, right? Because he doesn't take any salary. It is a complicated issue because the net worth will go up and down on the drop of a dime, because markets can be crazy. And essentially, this is the biggest Ponzi and pyramid in history. And people always ask, how long this can last? How long can this last? I don't know. I mean, that's why we're watching it, but it feels like the house of cards is closing in on him. I mean, you can take a look at this. This was just a week ago. Tesla's annual sales fall for the first time in company history, right? And so they sold themselves as being a crazy growth company, right? We're going to grow 50% a year forever. That doesn't turn out to be the case. This year, 2024, they had less deliveries than last year. So they're clearly not growing. On top of that, Musk was promising, hey, this 2025, we're going to grow 20 to 30% a year. Well, Musk says a lot of things. So I would be cautious on believing anything that he says. On top of that, he's under a lot of pressure because he has a lot of business dealings in China. His company, Tesla, relies heavily on China. And this has been a new development. It's one of the companies he does business with to get his batteries, CATL. They may be facing blacklisted because they have connections to the Chinese military. And at the moment, the USA is, doesn't want to send chips or, have American money go into these type of companies that support the Chinese military. Musk does business with these people. So, of course, he wants to find some sort of exception. And we'll see if Mark Rubio goes along with that. Rubio is a China hawk and a part of the, I think, Trump cabinet going, well, not officially yet, but he was one of the selections for Trump's cabinet going forward. And that's the question, like, will Musk get special treatment so he can continue to do his business dealings in China? He's got a Shanghai factory, and I know, guys, I really know, Musk and his Tesla fanboys and fangirls will always say, oh, this is all about, Musk being awesome. He believes in free speech, etc. But Musk will never, ever, 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 ever say a bad thing about China, right? And if Musk really believed in the whole free speech stuff, he would say, hey, China, I'm going to pull my factories and my companies out of China unless you lighten the load on free speech. But obviously he doesn't say that. That's why Musk is the biggest hypocrite in the world. But there's lots of reasons why Musk is. And it's sort of, when you understand that his business is under pressure, you'll kind of get kind of the stuff that he does. So for example, recently Trump has been floating, hey, maybe we might use military force in Greenland. So if you don't know, Greenland has a lot of components there that you could use to make batteries. So that would be useful for Tesla if there's any sort of problems of sourcing your battery materials from other places, or you're forced to shut down in China, or who knows what could happen, right? So go with Greenland, and that's why he's supporting that. But again, these people are hypocrites. So for example, I'll give you another example. Musk and Trump and all these people are criticizing California over the fires in LA. And one of the things I saw Musk tweeting out was like, oh, you guys don't have enough water. It's all your fault, you Democrats, right? And this is during a drought, right? So basically saying, complaining about water. Ironically, right, this is why Musk is a hypocrite. His company, Tesla, is building a lithium plant in Texas. They're also having a drought, just like California. It's just how things are right now. And they need a whole bunch of water. High estimate is like 8 million gallons a day, which is really a lot. The average American family uses like 300 gallons a day. So basically, Musk wants all the water from the local communities, and screw you. This is all about pumping up our Ponzi pyramid stock, and give me your water. And you little people, you don't need water. It's all ours. So that's if you're on the right, make the right friends politically, you can do whatever you want, right? And you can just screw local people. So when I tell you guys about this kind of stuff, I want you to understand that these people like a Musk, like a Trump, don't have your best interest at heart. In my opinion, just my humble opinion, I think a regular, just average American family cares about water. You should. You need water, right? And do you really want to put all your money into a guy who promises you that you're gonna go to Mars, makes a bunch of cars that don't work as promised? Or do you want water, clean water, right, for your house? So I think water is the easy choice. But yes, Musk wants to take your water. So there's that. On top of that, Musk likes to criticize all the time, people living off the government, etc. This just came out today. Elon Musk Tesla has received almost 200 million euros in UK grants since 2016. So there's that. His companies are kept afloat by government subsidies. And this was an interesting one in the EU. Tesla poised for 1 billion windfall from EU's emissions curbs. Basically, their company's Tesla, that is, sells regulatory credits. Here's a chart. Tesla's regulatory credit gravy train, and it's just been going up to the moon. If it wasn't for this, Tesla would be even bigger trouble than they are now. And this is what's the interesting thing is he's pissing off so many people around the world. When will government start cutting off subsidies to Tesla? That is the question. Now, from Musk's point of view is, maybe they're kind of thinking about that, but Musk maybe is supporting whatever right-winger candidates, right, in various countries. It's more than one. And maybe he's made deals and promises like, hey, I'll, help promote you. I'll, give money to your campaigns, whatever. I'll promote you on X. And all you have to do is make sure that I keep getting my subsidies. It's sort of like trying to help each other there. Now, I mentioned before that this is going to end up being the biggest Ponzi pyramid in history. This is the kind of crap that Tesla's trying to sell you, right? They're trying to say, hey, guys, I know that our car sales are in decline, but we got humanoid robots coming, right? These are actual official Tesla communications. When we look back in history, say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll be like, what were those people thinking? This is going to be worse than tulip craze. We're going to call this the home robot craze. Like, is anyone asking for this, right? A humanoid robot to water your plants? Is that something that you need? There are several people out there in the world who, live paycheck to paycheck and can barely afford to put food on the table, let alone put a robot in their home. It's just the whole thing's ludicrous, right? They're going to come in way more expensive than Tesla's promising. They're probably not even going to work. And on top of that, they're probably going to be dangerous, and they may even be spying on you all the time. So the last thing I want is a Tesla robot in my house, but that's just me. You may feel differently. This is another thing. Like I said, the pressures keep mounting up, and that's why Musk is looking for any kind of relief politically to get out of lawsuits, get out of entanglements. Guys, people sue this dude all the time. It's crazy because he cheats his employees all the time, etc. And it is that. So they put out this driving thing. They called it ASS. True story. That's what they called it. I mean, that's a kind of 13-year-old boy humor that he has. The thing's got, I want to say it's, I'll say double-digit wrecks. Well, I'm not sure. I think maybe 13 or 16, something like that. Basically, it doesn't work as promised. Regulators are looking into it. Will this slow down Tesla? I mean, Trump's coming in the office, and already, Musk and Tesla wants Trump to hide the crash data from you. So there's that. And I mean, that's what's keeping him afloat. He's like, this products don't work as advertised. That's what it boils down to. Musk thinks that free speech is false advertising, right? Free speech to him is like, hey, I can tell you that my products can do whatever. Turns out they can't do any of that whatever. And he considers that, well, but it's free speech. It's puffery, right? I can say whatever I want. And I hope you guys understand the fundamental problem with this stuff. The stock has been wobbling a bit. And even coming from Bank of America, which is kind of interesting. So they're kind of proponents of the stock. They say half the valuation of Tesla is based on their robot driving stuff. that may never work. And the reason why that is because Tesla went cheap on their technology. Most of the other car companies who are serious about this stuff, they put sensors in their cars. Tesla's saying, no, 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 we don't need sensors. We can do it with camera only, which is frankly ridiculous because cameras aren't going to work well if they get dirty. They're not going to work well in bad weather, etc. And some people say, because I hear all the time, I'll just tell you the truth. Some people say, but Chris, what about all those YouTube videos where, Tesla is awesome? Here's the thing. There's been reports from insiders at Tesla, right? People who work there that say when you see videos on YouTube, oftentimes these cars could be on tracks, like so they have like invisible walls, so it's not going to crash. The engineers at Tesla spend enough time and plenty of time on the YouTubers or Musk experience. So your experience as a typical user may not be the same that you see on YouTube because that's sort of like a special use case, right? So there's that. That's why reporting becomes really important and why you want to look at the news all the time and hang out this channel because I tell you guys what's going on. People like a Musk, people like a Trump, they'll say, oh, no, don't believe the news. It's all lies, right? And anyone who says that kind of stuff is because they're trying to get out of whatever, legal lawsuits or problems that they're in, or they just don't want people exposing them. That's what it ends up being. The list goes on, but let me show you some more. As I said, it's a lot to unpack. EU Commission urged to act over Elon Musk's interference in elections. He just keeps getting involved in more and more countries. And I enjoy our channel because if you guys don't know, so about half of our audience comes from the USA, but then you have the other half outside the USA. So we have lots of countries represented, and I always like to hear you guys' thoughts. So for example, today it's the Spain is like ticked off at Musk. If you don't know, recently Musk is going to be doing some sort of conversation with a far right person in Germany. I think that might be today. I'll tell you the highlights later, but I'm sure they'll say stuff, same stuff they're always going to say. They're going to blame the dark people. They'll do stuff like that, blame minorities, right? And then they'll say they need to leave the EU, and then they'll say whatever pro-Russian stuff. I'm sure that's what's going to be. So nothing going to be surprising there. But that's who Musk and Trump are going with, is the far right people in Germany. I'm sure you guys understand the implications of that. It's a serious problem. Many people are already leaving the platform X. Now, as this is reported today, a bunch of UK universities are also leaving. And that's actually also part of the interesting, part of the story is how long can you stay afloat when advertisers leave you and people don't want to use it anymore, and you're left with just a bunch of bots, Russian trolls, and people that you pay to say good things about you. So how long can that last? I want to bring this up, guys. For those of you who don't know, Howard Hughes. It's a real person in history. There is a movie about it with Leonardo DiCaprio if you want to watch that movie. It's not one of my favorite movies, but if you're interested in the time, I'll give you the basic rundown. There's a guy, he inherited a bunch of money. I think his dad was like oil guy. He actually made movies in Hollywood, which is kind of interesting. Spent a bunch of money on that. Spent a bunch of money on acquiring airlines and got involved in politics. It's actually, his life is interesting, but the guy was a bit weird, the same way Musk is. And weird, not in good ways. I think what's the right word to say? He had is it compulsive disorder? Is that the right word? OCD. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, I don't remember what the O stands for. You guys let me remind me. But I guess this stuff was true because they portray it in the movie where like he would just walk around his house naked. He would like stack milk, and it had to be a certain way. And like he wrote like really long instructions for his butlers and maids to follow, and if they didn't follow it, he would go a little bit crazy. So he had a lot of issues, and I think Musk is kind of similar in that way. What exactly are Musk's issues? I don't know. I don't, live in a house with him, but it's kind of obvious when he can't control himself the same way Trump can't, where these people's minds are. It's obvious, and what's strange though is that like people still think these people are geniuses or whatever. so there's that. I don't know. This is another one headline here. 13 times Elon Musk meddled in politics. So basically he's just getting involved in all sorts of countries. But what do you expect, guys? America, 49% said, you know what? I'm going with the felon. And this is what we're dealing with. Now, I want to bring up a related news because you have to understand when I tell you guys that these people are born rich, they're not necessarily smarter than you. They're just born rich. It affects like their opportunities in life that may be different from yours. So for example, this is a really interesting headline that came out today. Bill Ackman stands to reap high fees despite fund's lackluster 2024 performance. So basically, and I've said many times for the average person, and actually not just average, just many people, just buy an index fund, you're going to be better off. The index fund did 24% this year in the market. This dude did like 10%, so he underperformed the market. But he's got nice suits, he's got a nice haircut, nice voice, and he convinces you that you're gonna make tons of money with him, and he's awesome, right? That's what he convinces you, and he just collects these high fees. He charges like 1.5%, which is really really high. And I think it ended up being like 2 to 300 million that this guy gets just from his fees. So there's that. And now why am I bringing up that the dude's rich? Well, his dad was rich, which is kind of interesting. So his dad was like a real estate developer dude, mortgages, etc. And then his dad, so there's Ackman, there's Bill, and then the dad is Lawrence. And then his dad inherited the company from his father and uncle. so Ackman's like third generation, because it says here in nearly 5 decades at Ackman Ziff Real Estate, a firm founded by his father and uncle under a different name. Mr. Ackman helped develop mortgage brokerage industry, right? So again, so this would be I think third generation major money. On top of that, yeah, I mean, you gotta point this stuff out, because like people have these weird fantasies that these people are self-made. It's just not the case. Here's Zuckerberg. So the Zuckerberg guy, he's joining the Musk team now, and Trump team. So this matters because you're gonna get more Russian trolls on these platforms. You're also going to probably have more companies abusing you or whatever. Like, so, if Tesla wants to tweet out whatever nonsense, they'll let them do that. Meta is actually interesting. It said that he's moving his employees to Texas, where Musk is. So there's less worker protections there. So we'll see if Zuckerberg ends up abusing people there. And someone actually picked up on this, which I thought was kind of a funny thing. This is a headline from Bloomberg here. Zuckerberg wears $900,000 watch to announce end of Meta fact check. So this is the end of truth, or the importance of that. And this is something that I want to point out that I think a lot of people aren't going to mention, but it is important to understand. The story is, why would Zuckerberg be letting go of free speech, or I guess to say letting go of truth, but going the quote free speech route? Because he might want some special regulatory consideration. It was just announced today that I guess they're going to be showing eBay listings on their platform. And so from a consumer standpoint, is there some sort of monopoly issues with that? There could be. Is Facebook buying eBay or what? I don't know. But eBay stock went up like crazy today because of that. So that's the kind of stuff that you see. And unfortunately, though, the people that get hurt, and I make no jokes about this, would be the people who are most vulnerable. So in this situation, the LGBTQ community, now you can say bad things about them all day, every day, because that's not considered hate speech anymore when it used to be. Or if you want to say bad things about women, you can do that all day, every day. And so will Facebook and Instagram be filled with Russian trolls and Musk and Trump people? Maybe. I don't know. I can tell you Twitter's already like that, so there's no really reason to use Twitter, to be honest. And we'll see if Facebook and Instagram goes that route as well. So there's that. So on top of that, will this probe into Tesla's cars not working? Will that disappear? We'll find out. Tesla does face pressure from other car manufacturers. Just recently, Sony and Honda announced that their collaboration. Now, this car is going to come in a little bit expensive, so honestly, I don't think this particular model is not going to be a serious threat to Tesla, but it does show that there are other things coming. The real threat right now, though, is probably going to be hybrids just as a whole. Toyota makes pretty good hybrids. You guys know this. Hyundai, right? They make electric cars. They make good hybrids as well. And then you have, whatever European brands are going to come out on the luxury side, be it BMW or Mercedes or whatever, right? Then you have the Chinese side, which is going to be on the cheaper side. They're coming out with a ton of vehicles as well. So there's like all these things add up. On top of that, to show you how crazy of a Ponzi this is, you have to understand that if this is how it works. Like Jensen Huang, he's over at NVIDIA. If they say one wrong thing, so in this situation he's like, oh, quantum computing is not going to be here for another 20 years, then suddenly all those stocks sink, right? And so this is sort of why they have to coordinate all of their messaging together that promise you that Tesla's awesome, that they're going to have a bunch of robots, that they're going to have what are they doing? Oh yeah, they're going to Mars, or whatever stupid stuff Musk is saying. And as long as you can keep this sort of fantasy going, theoretically people buy the stock, and then it's promoted by either paid promoters on social media, or by these fund managers like the Ackman guy who's born wealthy. It doesn't matter how good his performance is in the market, he'll still going to collect his fees. This is sort of how this world works. On top of that, you have a slowdown in China that's real. It is a really serious thing, and It relates to sort of the stuff that you hear from the Trumpers or whatever, to where if it's bad news, they just don't talk about it, try to hide it. Now in China, they don't have free press, so you will never hear the story in China. But the basic concept is that the growth that the official numbers from coming from the government may be a lot worse than we know. So the government may say, hey, we're growing 5% a year. The estimates from economists or whatever could be like 2%, so half of that. And you take this global slowdown, right? And remember, Tesla's connected to China. Plus, Tesla, not just Tesla, but many companies need to sell stuff. If the consumers aren't there, right? If they're going to be in a 2 or 3 decade stagflation or decline in China, like what does that do to the markets or fraudster common like Tesla and Trump? And that's what we're watching, because the stock market's all about betting on the future, right? And remember, Musk's fortune is connected to the stock market, and then he uses that fortune to buy political influence. So that's why all these things are connected. And then they want you to think about bathrooms, right? So they don't want you to think about the money part; they want you to think about the bathroom part. And some of the followers of Musk and Trump fall for that idiocracy, but that's the world that we live in. And so that's why I try to show you guys all of these things together. But as it turns out, at the end of the day, for many of these people, it's all about collecting your bonuses on Wall Street. So for example, I guess bonuses are expected to be as much as 35% higher as demand for corporate deal making grows. So under Trump, you'll see more mergers and acquisitions. You'll see less regulation. You'll see less oversight. And people like Trump, remember Trump's a felon. Maybe we'll let Musk continue his Ponzi pyramid scheme, and we'll see. And that's why we're watching it. And I appreciate your time. So thanks again, and share your thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next video.